रामानुजदयापात्रं ज्ञानवैराग्यभूषणं श्रीमद्वेङ्कटनाथार्यं वन्दे वेदान्तदेशिकं लक्ष्मीनाथसमारम्भां नाथयामुनमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां यो नित्यमच्युतपदाम्बुजयुग्मरुक्मव्यामोहतस्तदितराणि तृणाय मेने अस्मद्गुरोर्भगवतोऽस्य दयैकसिन्धोः रामानुजस्य चरणौ शरणं प्रपद्ये माता पिता युवतयस्तनया विभूतिः सर्वं यदेव नियमेन मदन्वयानाम् आद्यस्य नः कुलपतेर्वकुलाभिरामं श्रीमत्तदङ्घ्रियुगलं प्रणमामि मूर्धना भूतं सरश्च महदाह्वयभट्टनाथ श्रीभक्तिसार कुलशेखर योगिवाहान् भक्ताङ्घ्रिरेणु परकाल यतीन्द्रमिश्रान् श्रीमत्पराङ्कुशमुनिं प्रणतोऽस्मि नित्यम् वन्दे वृन्दावनचरं वल्लवीजनवल्लभं जयन्ती सम्भवं धाम वैजयन्ती विभूषणं वाचं निजाङ्करसिकां प्रसमीक्षमाणः वक्त्रारविन्द विनिवेशितपाञ्चजन्यः वर्णत्रिकोणरुचिरेवरपुण्डरीके बद्धासनो जयति वल्लभचक्रवर्ती आम्नाय गन्धरुधितस्फुरितादरोष्ठम् आत्स्लाविलेक्षणमनुक्षत मन्दहासं गोपालडिम्बवपुषं कुहनाजनन्याः प्राणस्य नन्दनमवैमि परं पुमांसम् आविर्भवत्यनिभृताभरणं पुरस्तात् कुञ्चितैकचरणं निभृतान्यपादं दध्नानि मन्तमुखरेण निबद्धताळं नाथस्य नन्दभवनेन वनीतनाट्यं हर्तुं कुम्भे विनिहितकरः स्वादुहय्यङ्गवीणं दृष्ट्वा दामग्रहणचटुलां मातरं जातरोषां पायादिषत्प्रचलितपदो नापगच्छन्न तिष्ठन् मिथ्या गोपः सपदि नयने मीलयन् विश्वगोप्ता व्रजयोषितपाङ्गवेदनीयं मधुरा भाग्यम् अनन्यभोग्यमीडे वसुदेववधूस्तनन्दयं तत् किमपि ब्रह्म किशोरभावदृश्यम् takes us through a very beautiful journey of Krishna's birth and Krishna's pastimes. He does that very religiously, diligently, like how Shuka Brahmam takes us through in Srimad Bhagavatam. But Bhagavatam had a purpose. It had a purpose of propagating bhakti, and it was one of the Puranas. And Shuka Brahmam does that in a very, very beautiful fashion, just like his father, Vyasacharya. Vyasa concentrated more on the Pandavas and on the Yuddham, whereas Shuka, his illustrious son, who took the baton from him, said, I will do that of Krishna. Same is with Shuka's grandfather, Parashara, who gave us Vishnu Puranam. In the 5th Amsha, he does justice to Krishna Avataram. That essence of Bhagavatam is further enhanced by Bhattatiri in Sriman Narayani. We had yet another Geya Natakam, a Geya Kavyam given by a great poet called Narayana Tirtha. He gave us a Tarangam called Krishna Leela Tarangini. He says, Krishna Anubhavam is not one, it is many. So, every act of Krishna is like a wave. So, as he ably is able to steal butter and light through his teeth, that wave is gone and next wave of Rasa Krida comes. So as his wave of Rasa Krida is over, his wave of Venuganam comes. So it is a Tarangam after a Tarangam. So it is called Krishna Leela Tarangini. Beautiful Kritis. Narayana Tirtha had that great blessing by Paramatma where he could compose with such ease. Sharanam bhava karunamayi kurudinatayalo adhuna khalu vidhinamayi sadhu janadhara Govardhana giridhara. So every tarangam is so beautiful. So Krishna Anubhavam comes there. Very many acharyas have celebrated through music. If you take up Annamacharya, he positions Krishna atop the hill of Tirumala. He sees him more as Krishna. So how did Krishna grow? Kati dhati tame khala khachita mani khandita pathala ninadena vibhrajyamanam kutila pada ghatita samkula shinjite natam chatula natana samujvala vilasam bhavayami gopala balam mana sevitam tatpadam chintayeyam Kalingunitalala paina gappina pushyaragamu Eleti Sri Venkatadri Indranilamu Palajana Nidhilona Payani Divyaratnamu Valuni Balutirige Padmanabhudu Muddugare Yashoda Mungita Mutyamu Vidu Diddarani Mahimala Devaki Sutudu. So every kriti of Annamaya takes us through a journey of Krishna. There was one person who wrote a Shringara Geyam called Padam, called Varadaya or Kshetraya. You have to imagine only Krishna when you sing Shringaram. Because one lady proposed to Rama, she lost her nose. So, no poet or poetess will muster the courage. But bhakti, it is very tough to express love as such to Rama. Because he is very, very a protectionalist in approach. So he knows there is Sita besides him. He'll say, you're only a bhakta. Krishna entertains everyone. So, Muvva Gopala takes us through another journey in Padam. If you look at the Dasa Paddhati of Devarnama and Kannada, they all celebrate Krishna. How did Krishna come from the back? Mella mella ne bandane gopyamma kele mella mella ne bandu gallage muddu kottu nillade odi poda kallage buddhi pele mella mella ne bandane. How did he open his mouth? Taige bayalli. So every Devarnama celebrates Krishna. You go to the Kritis of Swati Tirunal, again there is Krishna. You go to the freedom fighter poet called Bharatiyar, Pinnalai pinnindrilpan, Talai pinne tirumbu, Munne sendru maraivan, Vannapudu chelai tanile, Purudi vari chorinde varittu kulaipan, Tirada vilayattu pillai. So there is Panchali, Shapatham and all of that, again Krishna. You take a Muthuswami Dikshita because he was a Sri Vidya Upasaka. For him, Devi is the ultimate. But interestingly, in Sri Vidya, as much as Devi, Krishna takes prominence. So he's called Sammohana Krishna. Now, Krishna becomes so important that he celebrates in his famous Dujavanti Kriti, Cheta Shri Balakrishnam Bhajare Santana Gopala Krishnam Sarasadala Nayana Sankata Shri Venu Gopala. So he celebrates Krishna. Tyagaraja 100%, 91.6, 916 Rama Bhakta. he cannot escape Krishna either. Devaki vasudevudane yekinchinatu samayani kitagumata ladene. So he celebrates Krishna. So it is very tough to escape Krishna bhakti. See, I'm talking about the south. People who listen will say in the comment, देखो ये मद्रासी है, पूरा पूरा कान्हा को उधर ले चुका है वो, हमारा है वो कान्हा, आप क्यों हिंदी में नहीं बोल रहे हैं? Then there is मीरा, मोरे तो गिरिधर गोपाल, दूसरों न कोई, प्यारे दर्शन दीजो आए, तुम बिन रहो न जाए, जल बिन कमल चंद बिन रजनी देखो. So again Meera comes into picture. Surdas, Hey Govind, Hey Gopal. Surdas comes into picture. Even the one who wrote Ramcharitmanas, Goswami Tulasidas, he sings a few kritis on Krishna. So it is very, very tough to escape Krishna bhakti. If so many were finding it tough, how can Vedanta Desika not describe Krishna? So he took it upon himself to describe Krishna in a poem. But nothing for Vedanta Desika comes in a set of 8, 10, 50 verses. 2500 verses. So he will ensure that he gives such a mammoth work that at the outset you will be flabbergasted looking at the very size. And only those who are not worried about the size can do an avagahana snanam in this Yaadavaabhyudayam. Added to the beauty of this poem is the commentary by a prolific poet Kamacharya called Appaya Dikshita. What made him even more special was, it was an Advaiti who was commenting upon a Visishta Advaiti's work. So it was the talk of the town in those days, so much so that the end of the commentary, the Raja of Vellur called Chinnabomma Reddy did a Kanakabhishekam on Appaya Dikshita. What a commentary you have written. Because in the commentary you cannot show your shades of Advaita. You have to comment like a Visishta Advaiti. So you have to don the hat of a Visishta Advaiti and comment on a Visishta Advaiti's work. And he does that diligently, elegantly and beautifully. So with this commentary, we go into Sarga 6. Sarga 6 is the zenith of Vedanta Desika's poetic magnum and his abilities, because he proves that he is a Chitra Kavi. See, certain poets are Vikata Kavis. Certain poets are Ashu Kavis. Ashu Kavi means you have to write immediately. If I receive a topic, in the movies, if a person has to compose a letter to his beloved, you will see the director typically in the 60s and 70s showing that the person who's drafting the letter is falling short of words. How will you do that in cinema? So the first cut will be he's composing. The second cut will be the number of paper crumbles lying on the floor, which means he has attempted at least 100 times and he has failed. And he has got, if not the incessant flow of words, as at least incessant number of papers. So he has papers, and this is how you prove that the person can't even write a letter. I'm sure, forget the person. Parents can't write a letter today. If this child asks for a leave letter, the parents ask the AI to do it. And that is the state we are. We don't know how to begin the letter with. And people have forgotten what is the difference between present continuous and past continuous and the past participle that needs to be deployed in simple past. So we are, I'm sure if the Britishers didn't achieve their true purpose in India, so Wren and Martin made no change in us. So composing has become an arduous task today. But an Ashu Kavi writes immediately. You have to do. And a person who combines such poetic skills of being a Chitra Kavi, a Vikata Kavi, and Ashu Kavi, Vistara Kavi, if given a topic, you should not write, you should write, for example, take one topic called Padukas. Pair of footwear, sir, in colloquial language. It is a pair of footwear that we generally keep in the foot rack. Of course, when the Acharya or Bhagavan dons it, it becomes Paduka. But at the end of the day, if I have to convey this to a Gen Z, Alpha, Beta, Gamma, so then it becomes a pair of hush puppies or Bata, the best at 999. But Vedanta Desika, in a matter of 3 hours, 1 hour worked like 60 minutes for him. So 3 into 60, 180 minutes. We were watching Durandar. 3 hours, 34 minutes. In less than that time, that person could compose 1008 verses on Padukas. What will he write? He can't repeat. And he made that into 32 paddhatis. Pushparaga Paddhati, Padmaraga Paddhati, Paraga Paddhati, Chitra Paddhati. There also there's one Chitra Paddhati. 1008 verses. Vistara Kavi, Vikata Kavi, Ashu Kavi, Chitra Kavi. Tirumangayalvar was all of these. So he's called Nalu Kavi Perumal. Tirumangayalvar has one name, Nalu Kavi. Tell me that Prabandham of Tirumangayalvar where he is a Chitra Kavi. Silence is golden. Very good. Thiruvallu Kuttirukkai. That Prabandham is called. Forget about learning the Prabandham. Learning the name. Thiruvallu Kuttirukkai. That Prabandham was dedicated to dash God. Very good. Kumbhakonam Sharngapani. It is called Ratabandha Kavyam. It is written, composed like a chariot, because that Bhagavan reclines on a chariot in Kumbhakonam. So, we had such great poets. And Vedanta Desika Kavitarkika Simham. So he uses this. Now I've given so much of hype for Vedanta Desika. How will we expose or showcase his skills? One verse. I'm sure in the morning at 5:30 in a foreign country, when you have walked at least 10,000 steps yesterday, expecting you to listen to Chitrakavyam at 5:30 in the morning is torture. Anybody who looks at our itinerary, if they have not traveled with us, they will first say, why do you want to pay for this torture? Morning 5 a.m. Because generally how are vacations? 8:30, you just go to the balcony, take your sip of tea, and it should have a little cinnamon. And you take your English breakfast tea, and then look into the waters of the Nile, and then think whether to bathe or not. And then take some baby steps to the spa, and then go all the way to the place where the food is served. And then this is how vacations work. 5 a.m. Vishnu Sahasranam, 5:30 Upanyasam, 7:30 brunch. You will have proper Kolambu Sadam in the morning, 7:30. Forget about Parana on a Dwadashi day. Every day is Dwadashi. So, I know it is a self-imposed torture where you pay. But I'm sure we have your tickets booked and you can't leave till the 28th. So we have a spiritual Squid Game for you. So just that we have larger eyes for the Korean play. So now that's said, we are going to take you through one of the shlokas, for which those of you whose hands are generally in a working condition, whose fingers are accustomed to writing, whose memory is extremely sharp in the morning, those of them who suffice all the three conditions, where hands work, fingers are used to writing, you can use this verse, what I'm going to say, to reveal Vedanta Desika's poetry. Now, first I'll tell you the meaning of. So he talks about the havis that is given in the yagam. See, this is technically an internal fight that happened about venerating just not the devata through Agni, but also doing upasana. See, if you can spend some next 4-5 minutes in understanding what I'm saying, you will be able to appreciate. You'll have to win over Kumbhakarna. Okay. Pandorunal kutrattin vaivizhunda Kumbhakarnanum Totrum unake peruntuildan tandanu. So winning over Kumbhakarna is the next step. See, in the Vedas that we all follow and revere, there is a significant portion of the Vedas which is dedicated to understanding fire. He is called Jata Vedas. Jata Vedase, we say, right? Jata Vedas is Agni. Jateti Vedaha, Jata Vedaha. The one who knows the entire history of the person who's propitiating him is called Agni. That is Jata Vedas. Because he knows you completely, who you were, who you are, who you may be. This is Agni. So Agni is Pratyaksha Devata. Agni is one of the major Panchabhutas that is revered just not in Sanatana Dharma. Even in the ancient Zoroastrian religion, whom we call Parsis today, they all have a fire temple. Of course, true to history and predictable demographic change, which I wouldn't want to, elucidate further, they had to leave their land of Persia and come to Bharatadesham. So they worship the fire. Like how we revere water, they too revere water. For them, well is extremely important. So most ancient civilizations had Pratyaksha Devata Aradhanam. Pratyaksha Devata is what you see. You see fire. So you have to worship fire. You see the sun. So you worship the sun. Yesterday, if you remember, everywhere you go, you will find the word Ra. There will be an Amun. Then that Amun and Ra will come together. Amun Ra. So you see that Ra. So they will be, even the baboons will be holding the suns. They were holding at the feet. Did you see them yesterday? Yes. So isn't it like Hanuman who went closer to the sun? Yes. Yuga sahasra yojan par bhanu lilyotahi madhur phal janu. Correct? So, worshipping the sun, worshipping the moon, worshipping the stars are all part of ancient civilizations pre the advent of the Western religions, because in civilizations you will have Pratyaksha Devata. So in the Vedic portion we celebrate Devata through Agni. But the later part of the Vedas said, don't stop with the Agni alone. See who is the Antaryami of the Agni. Don't stop with the sun alone. See who is the Antaryami of Surya. Don't stop with the moon alone. See the Antaryami of the moon. So there has to be one element that binds them all. But each of them is different. Sun is different from the moon. Moon is different from the stars. The stars are different from the Agni. So just because sun is a ball of fire, how will I use him in Yajnam? So I have to use only fire there. So each of these have different external characteristics. But imagine taking a jade, an amethyst, an opal, all from different geographies and colors. But you're using the same string to string them within. But you don't see the string. You see only the different varieties of gems. So the later part of the Vedas said, there has to be someone within all of these Pratyaksha Devatas who binds them all. He is called Paramatma. That Paramatma is the Antaryami to Agni. That Paramatma is the Antaryami to Surya. That Paramatma is the Antaryami to Chandra. That Paramatma is the Antaryami to all the nakshatras. So he is the Antaryamin. This Antaryamin is not directly visible to the eyes. Only when you contemplate, when you do a yajna of a different type. The first type is doing external yajna. The second part of the Vedas say you have to do the internal yajna. Like how the external yajna has havis and there you get phalam at the Purna Ahuti. Here you have to do this yajna internally and you will get Gnana as a result of it. That portion which talks about the external yajna is Karma Kandam. That which yajna which talks about the internal portion is called Gnana Kandam. The external part where it is Karma Kandam is divided into three, A, B, C, Brahmanam, Aranyakam, Samhita. The last part which is the Karma Gnana Kandam which talks about the internal yajna is called Upanishad. So the battle was between the Upanishad category people and the external category people. People who did only the external yajnas failed to contemplate upon the internal Brahman. This is where Krishna comes and says, it is just not enough for you to do the external yajna. When we used to study during the school days, I'm sure some older person in your family would have said, Kadanenu padikade. Don't read just for the sake of reading. Then you will never have an ROI. Return on investment. You've invested time and money. You will never have an ROI because you don't know what you're studying. Aurangzeb, 1957, 1857, Battle of Plassey, 1857, Battle of Plassey, 1857, Battle of Plassey, Ibrahim Lodi, 1587, 1587, Ibrahim. Then when will you learn? Mendeleev's periodic table, AU, atomic number 52, 52, Argentum, 50, 60, 64, 64, 64. Then lanthanides, AU, AG. When will you finish? So you don't know what lanthanides are. You don't know how different is actinides from lanthanides. You don't know why inert gases have been positioned in the last column. You don't know why there has been a demarcation between the metals and the non-metals through the metalloids. What property of the metalloid differentiates itself from the metal. All this will be a part of the 5-mark question. So kadane, which means you're just doing that yajna for the sake of doing it. You don't know whom you're doing that for. That is where Krishna wanted to convey, contemplate on that one who is within that Agni whom you don't see. So when people of Gokulam were wanting to do Utsavam, because year after year they were doing. See, Vedanta Desika and Kalidasa have one thing in common. They have one statement. Just because something is old, it doesn't make it right. Just because something is new, it doesn't make it wrong. That's a comment Vedanta Desika makes at the start of Yaadavaabhyudayam. Kalidasa makes it in his Kavyam. Just because something you have never done in your family, you have never heard, and somebody suggests, and there is value in it, but you're rejecting it. Why? Because it is new. இந்த புது விஷயம்லாம் வேண்டாம் சுவாமி. பழங்காலத்தில் எப்படி பண்ணியிருக்காங்க? At times, the bhakshanam that they make will have some small fallacy. There could be a small area for course correction. But they'll say, Inga party inda alavula dhaan poduvo. Adu katakku motakku palla odaikra mari vandalum paravalla. Kaiyila oru tool kittiyum sethu kuduthullam. Neenga odachi edho pannikunga sir. Pallu odaiyadho edho enga party onnukku rendu dhaan poduvo. Abdina abdi, because there may be some course correction there, something new. Correct yourself. Just because it is new, don't reject it. Just because something is old, don't blindly accept it. See, the most liberal of the thoughts come from the greatest of the acharyas. They are the most liberal people. But they are liberal for a sake. They are not liberal to prove that they are woke. There is a thin line, right? I want to be different. I want to be innovative. அப்படினா கையால நடக்க முடியுமோ? இல்லையா? I want to be different, sir. Everybody is walking through their legs. Why should I? I'll walk through my hands. நான் ஆசைடுன்னு சொல்லுவா, பைத்தியம்னு சொல்லுவா. So, here Krishna says, you have been doing Utsavam year after year for Indra. But you are already doing yajna. Every day when the Brahmanas in our community do yajna, they say, Indra Yaswaha. For that we supply ghee, my dear father Nanda. Nanji, हम घी दे रहे हैं हर दिन. आप क्यों ऐसे कर रहे हैं नंजी? हर दिन दे रहे हैं ना घी, शुद्ध घी दे रहे हैं. So we are supplying ghee free of cost. And the Brahmana is doing the yajna to Indra. So we are supporting the Brahmana in doing that yajna. We are already giving salary to Indra through Havis. Now by doing this Utsavam, you are conditioning him to Mamul. Why do you want to give salary and Mamul? He is already paid through the yajna. Now imagine, my dear father, there are other people in our community who support us selflessly. Indra is doing it for Havis. You give me Havis, I will give you rains, he says. Give and take policy. But what do we give to Govardhana Parvatam? But it gives us grass. Isn't that a volunteer? Indra is an employee. You pay him, he does that. Whereas Govardhanam is free, he is doing volunteering service. Shouldn't we commemorate him? My dear father, that Govardhanam is giving us grass because in that hill is the Antaryami called Narayana. So it has grass all over. What color is grass? What is that Govardhanam? Mountain. Pachai Ma Malai Pol Meni. There are beautiful flames of the forest flowers that are strewn all over. Pavalavai. It has beautiful lotuses in the ponds that have blossomed at its foothills. Kamala Chenkan. Does it ever betray us, my dear father? Immaterial of which season it is, it gives us grass. Achyuta. How will the celestials come and propitiate me, father? They have to stand on the hill and then walk down the hill. Amara Rere. Am I not the one who is the beloved of the Vrajas here? Ayartam Kolunde. Am I not the one who is being loved by you all? So, Krishna was trying to change their mind from complete Karma Kandam to slightly divert their mind towards Gnana Kandam. That is what is Govardhanodharanam. That is the philosophy of Govardhanodharanam. Externally we can say Krishna denied this, see, for us externally we will make it political in nature, as if Krishna and Indra had some rift in the past and Krishna wanted to pay him back. That is not the way we have to look at it.